Welcome back to the channel, Bridging the Gap Student to Engineer, where STEM professionals provide advice to students. This video is going to be going into the um, data results for students graduating from Texas A&M University. We also recently did a video about the University of Texas system, so if that's something you're considering, please check out that video with the link here, and we will get started in Texas A&M. So the Texas A&M Career Center has a division of student affairs where they provide data and statistics. This is a lot more data than available for the UT system, so I'm very happy about that. I'll go through first what the overview is, what you can get from it and what you can't get from it, and then we'll go into a little bit more of the detailed data. So Texas A&M is a huge school. They are throwing out super big numbers to you as a way of impressing you. But if you're looking at a small school, none of these numbers will compare simply because there are way more students at the school. 4,000 actively recruiting companies is great if you have a great big school, but the small schools are just not going to be able to compare it with that. But it is nice that they're showing you that, there are a lot of job postings. There are positions in those job postings, and there are a lot of companies looking for their students. Also, their students are using the Career Center, so that's what you're seeing here. And that's also a good thing that students are actively looking for jobs, which is what you would expect students to do. Okay, so if you look at graduation outcomes, this is May 2023 graduation. It is not just engineering. So like we've seen at some other schools, when they don't provide you with just engineering, it's a little bit hard to tell what the engineering data is from this. But so also with Texas A&M, they're saying this is at graduation, which you can see right here. Nearly all the other schools do within 6 months of graduation. This 81% having offers or pursuing further education. If that was 6 months after graduation, I would say that's a very poor number. But since it's at graduation, it's a little bit hard to tell. But we can take that for what it is and understand that it is very comfortable to have an offer for a job or know that you're going to grad school when you graduate. But the reality is some people take a little bit longer to get a job. In this case, for all majors at Texas A&M, about 20% or 1 in 5 students are still looking for a job when they graduate. So not the best numbers, but also hard to tell because we're doing apples and oranges if we're looking at other stats, other schools that are doing 6 months after graduation. Okay, this high impact, it's interesting that they've labeled that, but really it's about 58% of the students have participated in an internship, a co-op, or study abroad. To me, that's a pretty low number. That means that almost half the students didn't have any career-related or travel-related activities during their summer times. That means they were probably working jobs that were not related to their major, probably making less money than they could have if they were, say, doing a co-op with an engineering school. So to me, that number is not something to brag about. Some of the other schools have much, much higher numbers. Purdue, for example, I think is at 87% of students that have participated in an internship, and a third of their graduates have had 3 internships, meaning that every single summer they've had something related to engineering that they're doing. So something to consider when they're bragging about things. They may or may not be actually good things. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to this link, Who Hires My Major? We'll click on that. And they go from flashy, splashy, colorful to just kind of like not very good user interface, but that's what we get, so we'll take it. because I have to only pick one semester, I'm going to pick the spring 23 semester, and that means I'm going to be looking at data for the graduates from the spring of 2023. The way the data is displayed on the Texas A&M website is pretty hard to understand. So what I've done is I've just copied this into a spreadsheet and applied some filters so that it's a little bit cleaner and we can see the data a little bit more readily. We're just looking at bachelor's degrees. All of the majors are listed in alphabetical order here. And you can see the size of the class based on the numbers here. So this is numbers reported, but if we just assume that each major reports with the same frequency, you can see that some majors like chemical and civil are larger in the 70s, and some are a lot smaller like architectural engineering. So if you are going to a really, really big university, but you're in a small major, you can sometimes get that small feel once you get into your upper level classes and you've got um, professors that are focusing on you and maybe only a couple other students rather than um, having 400 students that they're talking to. Okay, so what I like to do is use the median. If we look at all of these numbers, the average of the median for all of the majors comes out at 80,000. That's about what we see at all of the top universities. So again, Texas A&M is a good place to get an engineering education. Like a lot of other top tier or second tier universities, you're going to come out making about 80,000 now. Of course, if you graduate in 4 years, it'll be a little bit higher than that, but this is not significantly higher or lower than what we've seen at other places. It does, however, change between majors, and this is something that, I don't know that I would recommend pursuing a different kind of engineering based on the numbers here, but it is something to be aware of, that if your passion is, I don't know, civil engineering, you're going to be making less than maybe somebody who's sitting next to you who's majoring in computer science. So something to be aware of, but not necessarily completely influence your decisions unless that is your main place. So next what we're going to do is look at who hires my major. This is useful information to know what kind of companies will hire students from a certain college. So I'm going to pick engineering, and I'm going to also choose the spring of 23, and I'm going to go view. Just like the other one, we're well outside of any nice graphics. But what we see here is not just the employer that is employing a graduate, but what position they have gone into. This can be really helpful whether or not your student ends up going to Texas A&M, just to understand what kind of companies and what kind of positions engineering graduates can get with certain majors. So like the other data that Texas A&M provides, it's pretty granular and more of a data dump than a summary that's readily useful. So what I've done is I have taken that very, very, very long list of employers and position titles and copied it into a spreadsheet again, ran a pivot table against it, and then sorted by the employer that hires the most grads. What this can do for us is show who recruits most actively on campus, as well as what kind of industries Texas A&M grads are going into. So if we just look at the top employer, Lockheed Martin, we also have Raytheon and a couple other similar type companies. They do a lot of aerospace, they do defense. There's Boeing, Collins Aerospace, Northrop Grumman. A lot of these, as you just look at the top employers here that are on my screen, all in the same industry. So a good indication that there's a strong presence for the aerospace and defense industry at Texas A&M. If you look at the next one, Texas Instruments, located in Texas, makes sense that they would be a big employer. Los Alamos National Laboratory, if you aren't familiar with the national laboratory system, that's definitely something to look into and research a little bit to see if that's something that you're interested in. They're focused on the nation's defense and the science and the engineering that goes behind a lot of the things that you see on the front line. So I know that Los Alamos is hiring a lot right now, so it makes sense that they are hiring 20 grads from Texas A&M, but definitely an indication that there's a strong relationship there. So if you're interested in moving to the mountains in northern New Mexico, that may be a good opportunity. But as you scroll down, there are quite a number of employers here who have um, numbers here that indicate they've got a pretty strong presence on here. Interestingly, Amazon is not the top. There have been some engineering schools where we've seen Amazon being the absolute top, and even their subsidiaries being, second or third. So I think it's a good indication that there's a good variety of industries that hire from Texas A&M, and there's a lot of these companies are going to be on campus hiring, looking for students, looking for co-ops and interns to come work for them, which is often a way of getting new grads and testing people out just like you're testing them out. So I'll just keep scrolling through here. You can see a lot of different companies here. I'm seeing more national labs, more aerospace, but also a number of different types of industries that are just, Johnson and Johnson. You're looking at, consumer goods. Jacobs Engineering does a lot of design and construction. So FAA, that's an interesting one. EY, it's interesting to me that it's so far down on the list. EY and some of the other big accounting firms like to get engineers. So the fact that they are so low may indicate that they don't have much of a relationship to Texas A&M, but that just some of the grads got jobs there. So now we're down at the onesie twosies. So these are ones that are probably not companies that have relationships, but just places where people were able to get a job most likely on their own. This is just all guessing based on my knowledge of the industry and my own experience. But I'll just scroll down to the bottom so you can see that we've gotten what all the companies are, but there are a lot of companies. We're down to 400 now. So lots of options, but if you are looking at a school and wondering where you would most likely end up, you want to look at those schools that are at the top. We continue to go down. Right, it looks like we've gone to the bottom. So, yeah, 700 different companies have hired spring 23 grads from Texas A&M University. That's pretty impressive. But we'll be back at the top here, just looking again at some of these larger employers that definitely have some sort of relationship. These are the ones that are going to be at the career fairs looking for students. But a strong presence in aerospace and aeronautics type work. Defense is a big thing here. Tesla with their new gigafactory in Austin, that makes a lot of sense that they would be looking at Texas A&M for grads. Caterpillar makes construction equipment, and so they're going to be manufacturing type jobs there. So if you have any questions about any of these, it's a good thing to be able to just look them up online. But if you have any questions about where they fit and if they're a good company or whatever, definitely leave a comment and I will reply with either what I know or a little bit of additional research. So that's a wrap up of the information available for Texas A&M University, another top tier school for engineering where you can expect to graduate and make about what you would make at any of a number of other universities. Unfortunately, although the school did give us specific companies and specific positions that graduates take in those companies, they did not give us location. So it's a little bit hard to tell or compare to other universities where we've seen that geographic information. Um, but the specific data about companies and positions is important and useful. So definitely take a look at that with the link that's in the description for this video. Thank you for joining me today, and please subscribe to the channel so you can get more videos, and let me know if there are other schools that you would like to have reviewed or questions you have in general about engineering, other STEM degrees, and other STEM careers. And we'll see you on the next one.